Lou, of course, joins us on Thursdays. We just got done with the NFL side. And what we've started to do, Lou, is obviously we're live on YouTube right now. We're promoting that out for people can watch us live, of course, for free out there. They have the free podcast system. But I've also started pointing out, the UFC segment. I've been tweeting that out. So if people that are just interested in your UFC talk, follow TME Sports Show. UFC 330 of the weekend, Makhachev, Machado Gary was the main card going into this fight. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For a numbered event. This was a lot of fun from my perspective here as well. I didn't catch some of the early fights because I was down in Tucson for covering media day and stuff like that. Caught the later ones here. Chidi got that win over Joel Alvarez in this fight as an underdog here. A unanimous decision for Chidi here. And I don't know where it closed at, but I know at one point he was like a 250 dog going into that. Your thoughts on Chidi and Joel Alvarez in that fight?
Yeah, I just like I said, Joel Alvarez is a bully. He wanted to fight at 55 against smaller guys, and so a great opportunity comes, and he takes short notice fight against a real welterweight that came down from 85. Chidi stood at distance, kept him at distance, and jabbed him to death. It was beautiful.
McConaughey, MMA Lab, we talked about him last week. Did not get the win there. Was a KO in the first round against Dante Johnson here in this fight. You're one MMA Lab kid. We pay attention to them, obviously, as that's here in the Valley, but also just your thoughts on Dante Johnson in that fight.
Well, McConaughey's a great kid. He's a family man, a dad, good fighter. But he was in against a buzzsaw here. This kid Johnson is a buzzsaw, and the only way we're going to get him, something going to stop him, is when he gets closer to the top 10 and he walks into one, because he's so aggressive coming forward. Somebody going to knee him or elbow him, and that's the way it's going to go. I don't know what kind of wrestling he has either. We've never had to see it because he's got so much power.
Yeah, and he showed that. It was kind of I've seen him fight a few times, but even then, I'm just sitting there just like, wow, this is a bull in a china shop attacking everything. You were high on Gore, against Luque here in this middleweight bout in the prelims. You were high on Gore. You tweeted it out a couple weeks before the fight. You did last week again as well. You talked about it. Got the unanimous decision in this fight. I'm assuming your opinion hasn't changed about Gore in this fight, but tell us what you think.
His bottom bridge was knocked out with a knee, and he was doing the interview, and they're saying, hey, those teeth, they were picking his teeth up off the floor.
It was interesting.
And he's like, that's okay. They can fix that. This kid is so raw, and he just on raw talent won the Ultimate Fighter. And he bumbled around, his head got big. He bumbled around, took some bad losses, finally found a home at this MMA Lab where Jared Cannonier and McConaughey and these older, more mature fighters brought him in and are teaching him how. And boy, he's learning how. He's a $185 pounder that's raw, young, fast, powerful, quick, still learning. And Luque's a fighter at the end of his rope that's washed, that fought at 170, moving to 85 to squeeze some career out. He ain't going to squeeze it out against this kid, and he didn't.
Charles Johnson, third round submission for him in this fight against Chaplin here as well. This kind of went off as a pick-em here as the fight got closer to it there. Charles Johnson, his wrestling style, things to that effect. Not a favorite of the UFC side, but your opinion on Charles Johnson?
No, he's uneven. You don't know what Charles Johnson you're going to get. And you got a great Chaplin who's a BJJ savant, but he took the fight on ultra short notice, and he ran out of gas in the third. Those two guys fight again, both get a full camp. Way different fight. Tip my hat to Chaplin coming in, and you got to respect Charles Johnson for winning the fight.
Yeah, that was that catchweight bout that we talked about. Explain that, where it's just like, hey,
short
can't
notice.
Make the weight. We're going to go in at what we go in at. Let's go,
The UFC wants to save the spot and have a fight, and so they'll allow for a waiver. And Charles Johnson's, who's really tall for the division, Johnson's 5'9" for 125 pounder. So he's X5 extra weights, a breeze for him. He's all about it.
Ribovics was a big favorite going into this fight.
And now you see why.
Yeah, and I just obviously second round. Are you disappointed it went to the second round, or is that what you're negative for Ribovics as it went too long, or anything like that?
Ribovics inside the distance can go 4 minutes, 59 seconds of the third round, far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He got inside, and that's how we had it.
Well, then you had another huge favorite, Abdul Malik, there against Stoltzfus in that fight. I don't know what he closed at, but I know at one point he was a 700, 800 point favorite going into that. And the underdog there, Stoltzfus, gets the win in that fight, submission in the second round.
I may have indicated or insinuated that Stoltzfus was live.
Yeah.
But I didn't bet it, and so I can't take any credit for that one.
I actually ignored you, and this is where I'm kicking myself. And I was like, Abdul Malik. So I actually put him in like one of those parlays of the big favorites. And I was like, what am I doing? Am I stupid? Because I remember you saying Stoltzfus could be live. And when you give those hints, I stay away from those big favorites.
Well, just because of his wrestling game.
So,
and he came to win, and he won.
So I lost a quick $10 on being stupid because of that dumb move on my part. Listen to Lou, folks. Out there is what I'm getting at. 39-second KO for Jalen Turner. I mean, it's just like, why even warm up for that fight out there with 39 seconds? It was a fairly close fight in terms of the odds going into it here between Fernandez and Turner. That was really impressive in my eyes for almost a pick'em type fight.
All week long, I talked Kyle Fernandez. I even gave him out on Follow the Money Thursday on VSiN. But as we drew closer to the fight, and why I do the bout business after the weigh-ins is because I pick up a lot of vibes in those last few days and from weigh-ins. And the vibe was that Kyle Fernandez, who actually, where is he? Kyle Fernandez opens plus 215, plus 150, goes off at close to a pick'em.
Yeah, I took him at plus 130 on Thursday afternoon.
So now I'm looking at Turner minus 260, and he's got size, reach, and everything else. And I said it on the podcast, hey, I never do this. In fact, I don't ever remember doing it. But it's the first time where earlier in the week I released one guy, but in the podcast I released Turner. Mm-hmm. And I released him in a parlay with Fluffy in this week's card as a parlay. So that is alive to the main event this week. And so there's that.
Yeah, I was just 39 seconds. Even I was like, man, I didn't even sit down. I was already sitting down, and I barely sat down for this fight going into it. Mackenzie Durham, Jillian Robertson ended up being a fifth round unanimous decision on this stuff. I like the way Jillian Robertson fights. I've seen her a few times just in terms of how she hangs in there and everything. And she put it to Dern occasionally during this fight, but Dern, of course, escaping there and keeping that championship belt.
Complete different class of athlete here. Robertson didn't belong in. I think she could have showed better. She does belong in the octagon with Dern, but she didn't that night. And then her coach melted down. That's a different story.
That was interesting. How does that affect a fighter, though, when you're coaches?
Negatively.
Yeah, that's what I would take. Kind of, we talk about that with the Marte situation. Like, that's another distraction on top of everything else for a fighter, I imagine, right?
Terrible thing for he put himself in front of his fighter. No real guy. John Crouch would never do that.
Yeah.
Ray Longo would never do that. World-class coaches wouldn't do that, but Dean likes attention, and he did it.
Yeah, and I see not just you, but I've seen a lot of things around MMA that's just popping up on my feed of people just ripping him for,
he
for all that
attention.
And everything.
He
and
put
stuff
himself
like that.
ahead of the athlete. That's really bad.
And then, of course, the main event here, Makhachev and Machado Gary in this fight, and this is the one where I'm just going to bow down to Lou here because Lou does things that I just can't wrap my head around here with the points here, Lou, that you told us to look at and everything last week. Of course, ended up coming to fruition there. Makhachev's ended up winning the fight with a unanimous decision at the end of the fifth round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. When they make a wrong number, I try and pounce on it. That was the most aggressive bet I've made in probably 5 years. Betting this stuff.
You went aggressive on that.
I made that known to people, and I tried not to. I hate doing jumping jacks because as soon as you do this, then your bet loses. So you're better to just keep your yapper shut. But that was a really. And listen, just like Dana White said, if Gary had an ounce of killer instinct in the fifth round, he could have
Yeah.
potentially won that fight, but he's too busy freaking kissing that freaking other kid's ass. And that's another story because we got a whole other fight card to get.
Absolutely. Plus 9.5 the points there, minus 120 is what. Well, I got it out on Thursday when you told us about it. I don't know how it changed.
It was down to minus 110 by the time they dropped it.
So it did move it as it got closer to
against us, which is great.
Yeah. So so I got to give you props because, like I said, I'm gonna understand these points here coming out because even then I won it and I was still like, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I can't do math. That's my problem.
Well, Gary had to win one fight. That's why after the third, when he won that round, he had to win one round.
Yeah.
After the third or second, Twitter blew up. Gary won that round. I'm like, whoa, you guys ain't a judge. I don't listen to that crap either. I wasn't even as soon as I saw that first one, Twitter went off.
All it takes is for him to win another round in deciding fashion to kind of counteract that one win. So it wasn't one in that moment. A lot could change afterwards, even if he didn't win it. So
you
hold your breath.
He takes
right?
a 10-8, gets to, so you never know.
Yeah, so I just want to say I'm just impressed. And math easily amuses me, Lou. I don't understand it a lot of times.
I don't know. I don't know much about math. I just know how to try and win and lose. And if you win more than you lose, you're doing good.
Yeah. So undefeated weekend for you last weekend, and we close that book and go ahead. And I found last week's fights interesting. I found them fascinating for future stuff being lined up or not lined up on that. And now this week we go to Sacramento, California. 5 p.m. is the main card coming up on Saturday night here in this fight night here. Let me ask you this: size of the cage in Sacramento, is it a normal big one? Going into that, I saw that there. Look, I loaded up the UFC page last night, and they have at the bottom, and you don't see it too often. Buy your Sacramento tickets. You don't see that too often in a fight card the week of. Usually, they're either sold out already or pretty close to it. So I'll be interested in seeing how the crowd works out in this coming up this weekend.
That's the home of the Diaz boys. That crowd will be there. They'll be imbibed, and half of them will be there through the exits coming in the wrong way.
Yeah. So you have the prelim fights here that get started as well. 2 p.m. coming up here. Tell us who in the prelims here, Lou, should we be paying attention to in these fights? We have Chris Padilla in this fight. We've seen him before and everything. Marcio Barbosa in these prelim fights as well. Jackson McVeigh, that name sounds familiar to me. He's not a local kid, is he?
He's a lab kid.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
When 6 of the 13 fights are lined minus 360 or above, we're not going to talk about a lot of these fights.
That's why I'm levying to you here on which one should we tune into.
We're going to hop, skip, and jump to Emmers and Gage Young, which is a 155-pound fight. Hold on, that's incorrect. We're going to hop, skip, and jump to Padilla and Hakparest, which is a 155-pound fight. This fight makes out to be really good. Now, Padilla's an L.A. kid. Where's the fights? Sacktown. And Hakparest trains in Toronto or in Montreal up at TriStar. So he travels into the country. Not huge travel, but passport stuff, and Padilla's going to have the crowd there. Padilla's got a 4-inch reach advantage. The fight's really open to pick, is close to a pick now. And we got about a 2.5 minus 165 over, 2.5 minus 200 to the over. I'm seeing
minus 200 to the over, 2.5. Just on the actual money line there, minus 122 to Nasrat here in this fight. Padilla's a plus 102 dog right now on DraftKings is what we use here on Thursday morning, so people are aware of where we're seeing those numbers at.
Well, I use everyone, and if I see a better number than what DraftKings is, I'll tell you.
Shop
what you
shop
should
it around.
Be doing. Yeah. You got to shop around, absolutely.
So go ahead.
So I like Padilla in the fight. I don't buy the Hakparest money. I think it's going to be a really close fight that Padilla going to want to keep standing, and if he can do so, I think he's got a great shot here. 4-inch reach means everything in a standing fight. Long layoff for Hakparest. In fact, if you remember, he was head kicked by Salkild a year ago, and that's why he's been off. So there could be rust. If Padilla flushes him, you don't know how he's going to handle it. So a lot of moving parts there that make me lean to Padilla. And then Schultz and McVeigh, you mentioned. McVeigh's a Phoenix lab guy. These guys are both Fabio wannabes. They have shoulder length hair. Schultz is primarily a grappler, wants to get it down. McVeigh's well-rounded. McVeigh coming off a loss, and McVeigh opens minus 500 and immediately goes down to minus 185. And he's looking like he's minus 185 or so now.
Minus 175.
He's minus one. Oh, even better. So what that means is that we're interested in the lab kid a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to pay the price. I'll probably go inside the distance or any finish. That might be one way to think about it. And I think that's how I'd have you.
Oh, over under on this fight's 1.5, minus 188 to the under in this fight.
The over under is 1.5 minus 188 to the under. So what they're saying is they think that Schultz is going to submit McVeigh, or the McVeigh is going to knock out Schultz. So they're giving us a hint, and the hint is McVeigh inside the distance. Trust me.
Okay. Perfect reading on that side, and local kid as well. And like you said, they call him the Moose there. But man, yeah, both of these guys, they look like they're on the cover of romantic novels here between these two guys.
Wannabes,
for UFC fighters, that's unusual that they look like that.
I say that as a guy that's follically challenged.
Right. Any other of these prelim fights? There's a featherweight fight, Emmers Douglas, and the heavyweight battle.
Douglas, that'll be a good fight. Those guys will stand and bang. Emmers is 6 years older, so Douglas, they're all over Douglas.
Yeah, it's a big number, 390 right now for Douglas.
And then Wint and Chapman. The UFC loves this Wint, ex-Jet football player. He's just knocking guys out, so they put this coat rack in front of him. He's going to just bust this boy up and move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, 1,000 favorite right now for Wint going into this battle.
That's
here.
10-1.
Yeah, over under 1.5 minus 315 to the under.
Yeah, and 10-1's a bargain on him.
Yeah. So that tells you I plan for one of those 39-second fights. If if you're looking at sit down early is what I'm getting at from that side. Then on the main card, you got a big favorite in the women's flyweight bout. Judas, there's the 550-point favorite. 575 right now. Skip that one. Medeiros and Jones coming into this one. Right now, Jones is a 285 favorite. Over under 2.5 minus 200 for that lightweight bout. If there's anything to talk about on that one, Lou?
That's a great fight. 155 pounds. And Markel is a MMA lab guy who is coming off a draw because they took a point from him. This was recently. He's upset about that, wants to make amends. And they give him this kid from Wales who is tough, durable, powerful, can wrestle, has won. His last 2 fights were against one guy, Sola, who's really good, and he beat Sola, and then Oki before it. So Mason Jones should be the favorite here. Markel is a legitimate underdog. But, he's getting up there now. I can see you want to take Markel Medeiros. I get 230, 235. I see a 240, a 257. I'm going to just sit back and wait. I'm interested in Medeiros a little bit straight, but I'm going to take him plus the 3.5 at plus 100. That's on DraftKings. It's a point spread play on this fight because I do believe this fight goes to decision, and Markel can win a round against Jones. And the reason I believe Markel can win a round or even the fight is because of his feet, his flash, his quickness, because he's not going to be able to stand there toe-to-toe with this kid. He's going to have to outquick him, suck some gas out of him, take him late into the fight, win the 3rd round by using his feet and creating angles, and that's what he's prepared to try and do. So I do there'll be a full unit on Medeiros on the point spread and then a little taste of him on the money line.
Oh, could that a lot of money has gone on Mason Jones here? Did you see that to continue?
Yes.
Is this one of those you should sit back and wait?
They'll be using him in parlays, and generally with all underdogs, you sit back and wait.
And wait, get the final number that comes in.
Right.
We got De Ritter in this one against Dolidze. Light heavyweight bout for these guys battling it out. Now De Ritter is a 400-point favorite here, 375 right now on DraftKings. But light heavyweight guys here, some powers coming into this fight and everything. Over, under 2.5. The over is minus 140 right now. So there's something telling you the power's not enough for a knockout. Or at least Vegas numbers are telling us that's not the case.
Well, they both are grapplers, and neither are accomplished strikers. Dolidze's probably got a little better striking. The only reason I say that is because De Ridder has none. And so, but De Ridder's a world-class Netherlands grappler. He's training at Killcliff now. He's got his cardio issues under control. They're teaching him how to at least, you stick his jab out there and create distance to be able to try and take the opponent down. Dolidze's 38, a baker from Georgia in Russia. He's fighting just to earn money for his family, and De Ridder will dispose of him pretty early here. This is a mow-down job for De Ridder.
Yeah, that's why that I was reading that also from other places. That's why when I saw the 2.5 over, kind of struck me a little bit.
Well, Dolidze is tough and durable, but it may 2.5 over. I would maybe say I don't think it goes the distance. It gives me 2.5 extra minutes.
Exactly from that side. Then you got Victor Petrino, Sergey Spivak here. From Moldova here is where he's listed, at least on my side. So we go from a light heavyweight to a heavyweight fight, Lou.
Yeah, we do. And Petrino coming in off his first heavyweight fight, a win. And I think it was a knockout, too. Pretty impressive. Oh, no, he decisioned Asplund. And he looked good in that fight, way better than he looked when he was sucked out at 205. And so he's a little bit undersized. He's probably 248 pounds when he fights Spivak. But Spivak's 245, kind of a long, tall, Dracula-looking dude. He's ghoulish looking, but he has a great ground game. He's coming off a win off Delija. Both these guys travel in, Petrino from Brazil and Spivak from Moldova. And so this should be a good fight, and maybe one in which I lean to Spivak just a little bit as an underdog. We'll have to see. Spivak opens a plus 200. He's plus 155 when I did the podcast, and
124 right now on DraftKings.
Yeah, so he's seeing a little bit of money come his way, and I think I have to agree with that.
And over under on that's only 1.5, but minus 215 to that over. Are we going to see that move to 2.5 by chance? At least on DraftKings side.
What
of
is
things?
It to the over?
Minus 215 to the over, right?
Yeah, I like the over
in that fight there for that heavyweight bout, and then you got the main event here, middleweight fight. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez and Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez here for these two guys. I'm looking forward to this one, Lou. I'm looking forward to a lot with these guys.
Well, yeah, RoboCop's got stupid power, and he's a world-class Muay Thai grappler. So he's a scary, scary dude. Anthony Hernandez coming off a whooping by champion Eric Strickland and took some of the tarnish off him. But Hernandez don't get tired. He can fight all day, and he'll have to figure out how to do the Jared Cannonier. And by that, I mean Cannonier was able to tax RoboCop in the first 2 rounds, and RoboCop is so muscular and built that after 10 minutes of fighting, he can swole up and get a little bit slow and deliberate. And that's what Fluffy's going to have to do against RoboCop. The total in the fight's been teetering between 2.5 and 3.5. You can find them both still.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I tend to lean over. I tend to think Fluffy is going to stay out of his way, do what he has to do with this guy, take him to the ground. And I see this fight going later because I see Fluffy winning in the later rounds when Rodriguez gets tired out. If this fight was lined at 2.5 under, I'd be scared that Rodriguez was going to find him. But I think the speed and the focus, and Hernandez now went to train with Strickland. I think he's going to come in. We're going to get his best effort, and I think he's better than RoboCop.
RoboCop, I've seen his fights where he's been dominant, and I've seen his fights where he struggled a little bit, like in the later rounds. I think I liked his strength, and I like his the way he can handle things out there. But with Fluffy, it's going to be, like you said, I think it's interesting. I'm looking forward to this main event coming up here as well. Like I said, on DraftKings, it's over under 3.5 right now, minus 215 to the under.
Yeah,
and
when you see the two before the fight standing next to each other, you're going to think, these guys a different weight class. I mean, RoboCop will weigh in at what is this 70?
It's middleweight bout.
Middle at 85. So RoboCop will weigh in at 85, and he'll take the cage at 205, 202.
Yeah.
And Fluffy will weigh in at 85, probably take the cage at 92 or 94. So RoboCop be bigger, thicker, more swole up, and Hernandez is going to have to be on his bike.
So there's the main card from Sacramento. 5 p.m. is the main card on Saturday night. 2 p.m. Early prelims there, and got some MMA Lab guys in these fights as well that hopefully fare better than the gentleman did last weekend.
There's a release on the webpage, which was also VSiN Lives magazine. There's also a release on the Sneak Teep podcast if those are interested. Got to listen to the Sneak Teep or go to the webpage.
Yep, I'm not going to say what they are. Go check them out, everybody.
We talked about them, but
I know.
if you're interested, go.
I want to see it from that side. So I'm interested in, like you said, seeing kind of what the crowd is like this weekend. And I just never had buy your Sacramento tickets, and it's Thursday before the fight. I don't remember the last time I've seen that.
I don't look for that stuff, so I don't know.
I know. I
did look at tickets for the Glendale
September
thing, and a lot of good ones have sold, so good for them.
Yeah, I haven't checked into it in this last week or anything, but from what I was reading before, I got a little press release from it saying that it was selling well, and it's as they're announcing new fighters, obviously coming up. People are getting intrigued with. That's going to be a fantastic fight.
Well, we lost the main event of Yair Rodriguez. That was going to really be the Hispanic draw, but they put in Carlos Delgado, Jose Delgado, who's an MMA Lab fighter, and there's a big, huge step up for him having a Fajon Silva, but he's going to be up for it, and that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
I just know when I look at seats for a venue for UFC, I know the ones that I would consider buying for that event were gone, so just as well.
Yeah, one of the prelim fights, Tim Elliott and Edgar Chairez.
Chairez, he's a Mexican fighter. There's a Mexican or Hispanic fighter in almost all of those early fights. Noche is a salute to Mexican heritage, so we get a lot of Mexicans on the card.
Yeah, they focus on that side. But that fight card, even though, like you said, we have a switch in the main, that might make that fight a little bit more interesting, to be honest with you, with Rodriguez being subbed out. I might be more interested in it with the substitution. But we'll talk more about that, of course, coming up. But over there in Glendale, Desert Diamond Arena, if you're interested in seeing a live MMA event, UFC event, without having to travel to Vegas. And it's an early start as well. 2 p.m. is the main card for that fight.
No, 2 p.m. is the prelims of that.
No, on that fight. It says main card, 2 p.m. On the website, 2 p.m. is the main card on September 12th.
What time are prelims?
It says there.
11.
Oh, you know what? They have an 11 a.m., yeah. That's what's listed right now, Lou. I double checked it. Lou's all doubting me. I'm just going off the UFC site.
Hey, I'll believe it. It's got to be football related or something, but it really doesn't matter when they put it on because I'll be watching.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? And I like the day ones a little bit. I've kind of fallen in love with those day fights instead of the nighttime stuff.
I get it.
Hey, folks, Uncle Lou, thanks for joining us, first of all.
Thanks for having
me. Check out his website. Check out About Business coming up tomorrow as well after the weigh-ins. Be back next Thursday as well. We're getting closer to the NFL regular season, folks. Don't forget, follow TME Sports Show. We'll put these segments up from Lou as well. And Lou, thank you. Everybody else, we'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock. See you then, everyone.